here we are. We're getting to the guts of this, okay? I'm in Aspen, Colorado, and my assistant, I said to her, I just found out, I'm like, actually, because of timing, I should get a COVID test here for somewhere else that I have to be at that wants proof that I don't have COVID. And she's like, fine, total no problem. And she books a COVID test for me. Normal, not a big deal. So I'm assuming that we're gonna have to go there, or the person's gonna come here and swab me, not very comfortable, but whatever. And my assistant comes to me and her face is white. And she's just like, you are not gonna believe this. We just received an email from the COVID facility that they are declining to give you a test because of who you are. I was like, this can't be real. There's no way this is real. I have to look at the email and see if this is in writing, because this can't actually be real, because that doesn't make sense. We're in a public health crisis. If I knew someone didn't get the vaccine and I worked for a COVID testing facility, I would obviously be happy that a person who had the vaccine was doing the right thing and complying by getting a test to make sure they didn't have COVID to spread it. Wouldn't it be common sense? Actually, wouldn't it also be common sense that if you work or operate a COVID testing facility, that the majority of people that you see are unvaccinated? That's the reason they're probably getting tested, because they're not requiring people that are vaccinated to be tested every 5 minutes. So this is weird. And so I take a look at the email and that I've ever seen in my life. First and foremost, I want to point out to the fact that this test was booked under my marriage name. So the test was booked under Candace Farmer. No way that raised red flags. This means that this facility actually actively Googled who was booking tests to see who they were, right? And then they determined that, oh my God, Candace Farmer is actually Candace Owens. I'm not going to administer this test, and I'm going to write this virtue signal email. And I know a lot of people are saying, I don't know if this is legal. I have no idea. I don't know. I can't imagine it is. In a public health crisis, I can't imagine it's legal, but there's also private business rights. I have no idea. So this is the email which came from, it's called it's an Aspen COVID test. And the person that operates the facility is a woman named Susanna. And Susanna wrote my team an email, and this is what she said. I can't show you the email because I can't show her email address, obviously, because that would be considered doxing. So Susanna writes, I've just learned of this testing request, and as the owner of this business, am going to refuse this booking and deny service. We cannot support anyone who has proactively worked to make this pandemic worse by spreading misinformation, politicizing, and actively dissuading people from receiving life-saving vaccinations. This is my favorite part of the email. She writes, the only other local testing option is the free kiosk by City Hall. They mail their tests to Texas and have inconsistent result times. Do not take appointments, so it's walk-in only midday weekdays in their back alley. So basically, she's only saying that she's not gonna give me a test, but she's like, and haha, good luck ever getting one, because I'm the only person. I have a monopoly in Aspen, and you can't even get one. Thanks, Susanna. The arrogance of writing that afterwards, being like, good luck getting one because I have a monopoly here in the mountains of Aspen, is so typical leftist. And then of course, as a leftist activist and someone who clearly does not care about public health, because if she cared about people in Aspen, she'd be like, I hate Candace Owens, but thank God she's going to make sure she doesn't have COVID because she's here. And I want to make sure she doesn't have COVID and she's not walking around with it. Then she ends it by saying, of course, pat on her own back, my team and myself have worked overtime to exhaustion, unpaid and underpaid this past year, spending our own capital to ensure that our community remains protected. It would be unfair to them and to the sacrifice that we have all made this year to serve you. Nobody stopped her in this ironic statement, obviously. You're saying you care about your community and you've worked to make sure that your community is protected. You have someone who's here in your community, but is saying that they want to make sure they have COVID. They don't have COVID. And you're declining the test. So basically, she would rather Candace, who she knows is unvaccinated, walk around Aspen unsure if she has COVID-19 because she needs to make a moral statement that unvaxxed people shouldn't even be allowed to test for COVID. Susanna, this is beyond stupid. You can't even I can't even unpack the layers of stupidity. She accuses me of politicizing the virus while writing an email saying I'm politicizing the virus by declining to give you a COVID test. She's literally saying I'm politicizing the virus because I don't like your politics, and therefore I'm not going to allow you to comply with our local COVID measures. Think about that. Right? So in this scenario, she is receiving a Candace Owens that is complying with COVID measures to get tested to ensure, which I am not against, that I don't have COVID. If I knew I had COVID, I wouldn't want to jump into a public setting, because even though I'm not afraid of COVID, somebody who's 90 years old and at risk may be terrified of COVID, and they may want to make sure that people aren't willingly diving in, into an event and with COVID. So I'm okay to just say 1,000 times every 2 weeks that I still don't have COVID, I don't know where to catch this thing. Maybe COVID's racist. Maybe Susanna's racist. I don't freaking know. I don't know. The last time a white Democrat refused a black person service and said it's because I don't like your thoughts and ideas, we were in the Jim Crow era. But here we are, and we're actually in Aspen, Colorado, and Susanna wants you to know that she will Google you. This virus is not political, but she's Googling people that are signing up for tests to make sure that their politics align with Susanna's. Welcome to the public health crisis. Don't worry, guys, it's not political unless it needs to be political. Then it's not political, but unless they need to make sure that it's political. So, Susanna from Aspen COVID test. I wanted to share the story because I think that I have been very vocal in telling you that to the left, this virus is something to be politicized. And we are now talking about someone who works in public health, who is declining to ensure that that in her community does not have COVID-19 because they don't like the fact that they have not gotten the vaccine. I guess I'll wrap this live by telling you guys that I still don't have the vaccine, and I'm still not gonna get it, Susanna. It's just not what I wanna do, but I will unfortunately find someone else to administer a COVID test, you absolute freak. And I will be sharing her email, taking out her email address, obviously, on my stories for those of you that just cannot believe the story. Also my response, which I think was very amazing and very kind and very warm of me, will be on my stories. So